Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you once again for joining me for tea time. Today we have just a little bit of focused and misty morning combination because I love the bergamot. It's so good, so good. A little bit of peppermint. There's a lot of zing to it. It's good. It's just really good in the morning. Anyways, I hope you're enjoying your cup of tea or maybe a cup of me. Today we're going to be talking about my Sony ZV-1, and I switched basically from Canon 80D over to a Sony ZV-1 about 3 months ago, and this is kind of like a 3-month or 90-day review. I think this is very important because some people were asking me, do you have any buyer's remorse for going away from Canon and going with a Sony? And I want to get into that a little bit and tell you some of the things I have an issue with, some of the things that I don't, and my overall feelings behind it. But before I get into it, I want to say that if you haven't downloaded my ebook as of yet, go check it out. 10 Tips at Making Tack Sharp Images. Go to jcristina.com/ebook. Once again, jcristina.com/ebook. It's free, guys. There's something there for amateurs, pro-ams, as well as professionals. I hope you like it. Once again, it's free. jcristina.com/ebook. Also, if you get anything out of this video or any of my other 400 or 500 videos, whatever it is, please give them a thumbs up. That helps so much for the YouTube gods to look kindly on the channel and on the videos. So that would be absolutely fantastic. And subscribe to the channel if you like more of this type of content. So, anyways, the ZV-1, and what do I think about it? How has it worked out in the last 90 days? Now, just a little backstory because I think it's very important. I was shooting a 80D for this vlog for, it has to be about a year. Almost the entire portion of this channel was shot on the 80D. Prior to that, we had some other cameras that we're using, but about, I would say a good year was shot with the 80D, and it did a fantastic job. And one of the things that I absolutely loved about Canon and the Canon 80D was that it tracked me well. It knew where my face was, and it didn't let go of me, let's just say. For the most part, especially things like this where we're not moving around crazy. It would really lock on, and Canon was always known for dual pixel AF, right? And it works. It just simply works. Dual pixel AF is one of the things that was like Canon's mainstay. Anytime they had a camera come out there that was brand new, it almost always had dual pixel AF because it was just amazing. It did such a great job at tracking, okay? Then they started using it almost against people, and they were neutering cameras. They started taking out dual pixel AF and let's say 4K, whatnot, for example, with their M series, and it really pissed people off. So they used it almost as something that's really good, but as a means of neutering their cameras. So, but the 80D really wasn't like that. It had dual pixel AF right across the board, so I really enjoyed it. But I wanted to go and start shooting a secondary camera, like over here. So I have two different views, and it just kind of changes things up a little bit. As you guys get bored, I get bored even quicker. I'm like the ADD kid, and I'll start like grabbing at flies and butterflies and birds and anything that's flying around because that's just how I am. And I needed the second view, and I'm like, well, should I pick up an 80D? So I have two of them, or pick up the new 90D. So I have the 90 and the 80. Right? Or should I pick up one of the Rs, right? One of the new mirrorless cameras. Well, I didn't want to go down the mirrorless cameras just as of yet. And the reason behind that is I didn't want to get into a whole nother pile of lens mounts, a new lens system, right? All of the RF glass as of yet, right? So I ended up looking at a bunch of the cameras that will do exactly what I needed to do. And the best one that I was to find at the time was the Sony ZV-1. It was purported to be like this vlogger's dream camera. And I'm like, well, all right, let me look at the specs, compare it to what I have, and it seemed to spec out really well. We know Sony does that all the time, all right? Their specs are crazy, and then you get it, and yes, it's great, but then there's this, or there's that. So, just so you guys know, I'm shooting right now on the Sony ZV-1 as a main. And over here, we have the Canon 80D. Just so you get an idea what we're shooting here. Now, some people will be like, well, what is the story with the color is slightly different? Well, if I have all the time in the world to sit in color grade, I could make the Sony look just like the Canon or the Canon look just like the Sony. It's not a big deal. Shoot log, call it a day, and do the color grade after the fact in DaVinci. I don't want to do it. I don't think that it's necessary, and I don't think you guys are going to care one way or another. I hope not. But, so I don't want to get into all that. So some people are like, oh, Sony's color science is not as good as Canon's. So my answer to that is, I agree. I've been a Canon shooter for a long time. I do like Canon's color. Now, that being said, does it matter in this situation? No. And like I also said, you can always color grade. So color is kind of subjective. You might like it, I might not, and the next guy might like it. Who knows? All right. So some people will say, oh yeah, you're a little bit flatter here. Over here, you're a little bit more rich. It's a little bit different. Whatever. Okay. Like I said, we can always make it mesh if we wanted to. Now, the 80D is shooting at 1080p, while the Sony is also shooting at 1080p. The difference is the Sony can shoot 4K if I wanted to at 30p, whereas the Canon cannot. All right. So I was thinking about doing 4K for a long time. And I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and see about shooting some 4K. I did it for like 2 episodes and that was the end of it. I'm like, the amount of time that it takes for editing, getting it all together, and it just didn't make sense. It wasn't worth it. All right. The ROI wasn't there. We talk about that all the time, right, guys? It's all about value today, right? What are you getting from it? And I just didn't think that you guys were getting anything better seeing me in 4K, my ugly mug, than just 1080p. Many of you weren't even watching in 4K. Most of you were not even watching in 1080p. You were watching on your phone at like 480. Okay. So it just didn't make sense. And that's why I said, you know what? If I ever want to shoot 4K, the camera is here. And that's one of the reasons why I picked up this camera, was for the 4K. Or I was going to go with the 90D, like I said, once again, for the 4K. So the Sony ZV-1 does have a built-in camera, whereas the Canon, you can snap on any lens that you want. Now, that's a positive and negative, right? So the Sony does have a 24 to 70 equivalent, right? That's what it shoots, 24 to 70, f1.8 to f1.2. You know, I don't like the meandering f-stop, but it is what it is. This is a point and shoot. This is not. All right. This has a built-in lens. This does not. Different camera, but similar use case here, right? So the Sony will shoot at 20.1 megapixels, whereas the Canon is 24 megapixels. If you get the 90D, it would be about 32 to 33 megapixels. So you're going to get a lot more megapixels out of the Canon, and you'll be able to replace the lenses. So that is definitely a positive. Now, when we look at the specs of this Sony ZV-1, one of the things that I really liked about it is that it did, even though it was a compact camera and extremely small, it did have the 4K, like I said, at 30p, which was good. It also had that fully articulating back panel that I was spoiled with when it came to the Canon. I really like to be able to see myself if I need to without having to put a monitor. Now, do I have a monitor up here? Yes, I do, but I don't need it or use it right now. Why? Because I have these small 3-inch panels that are pointing towards me, and I know that the focus is right just by looking at it and see where the box is. Now, let me get into focus, because that is one of the things that are a positive and negative when it comes to the Canon and the Sony. Now, like I said before, Canon does have dual pixel AF, and it does an amazing job at autofocus. But I do believe, as of today, Sony's better. When it comes to eye tracking, it just does an amazing job. And I was doing a video about 2 or 3 videos ago, and I pointed it out to you guys. I said, watch what Canon does here. I had Cortana on the screen next to me here. So the 80D was able to see me and Cortana. What was happening was the Canon, every once in a while, would lose his mind. And instead of being focused on me, he would focus on Cortana. and this back and forth dance was happening. So, what is the difference between that and the Sony? Well, Sony understands depth. It seems to calculate depth. Now, why do I say that? The reason is, when I look at the camera and turn my head a little bit to the left, my right eye, I can see the square immediately jump to my right eye. If I turn the other way, it jumps to the left eye. It goes back and forth. Why is that? Because it's understanding which eye is closer. And this is the same thing that holds true when it comes to faces. It knows what is closer. Now, if Canon understood that, obviously this is an older model, right? We can't say that the new Canon R is going to be the same way, or the R5 or the R6 or the R1 when it comes out, whatever. But as of right now, with the gear that we have, the Canon, even though it does have great face tracking and it does have dual pixel AF, the eye tracking on this little tiny point and shoot is simply better. That's it. End of story. And when you do these type of vlogs on a regular basis, you need to make sure that it's hitting every single time. I need to be in focus. Now, the other thing to it, which I really like about this Sony ZV-1, is you could put it into product mode, whereas whatever you hold up, it'll immediately lock onto it, and then as soon as you put it down, it'll go back to eyes that it sees. So if I held up this little SD card, for example, like this, right? And I put it in front of my eyes, it will pop straight to the SD card. If I move it over a little bit, you see what it does? It goes straight back to my eyes. Move it over, and it's straight to the SD card, and back again, it's back to my eyes. Very quick. It is crazy quick. It just simply works. It's like dead on every single time. No playing around. So for product shots, you can use it like this. Just cover your eyes, and you're good, okay? But you could do the same thing with the Canon. The difference is if you flip this to product mode, when I put the product here in front of me, yes, it'll lock onto the product. But if I move the product here and I'm still in the shot, it will continue to lock on the product and not me. Why is that? Back to the idea of understanding depth, right? So when you're in that product mode, it's saying, hey, this item is closer than the eyes. Let's prioritize the item over the eyes. This is awesome, guys. If you're a vlogger, you've been looking for this forever. Right? How many times has this happened? How many times you see these vloggers and they're holding something up and they're covering it and they're doing this face cover thing and they're doing this? Just like craziness. But with the Sony ZV-1, you don't have to do that. And that is just simply a really big benefit to me here. Now, a few of the other things I really like about this Sony ZV-1, and I'll get into some negatives also, is number one, it's very tiny and compact and you can wander around with it and do a vlog. That's fine. I don't really do it. You don't see me wandering around very much, but I can. And I like the idea that it does have a built-in lens. That is a positive and a negative, but let's call it a positive for now. Also, like I've said from the beginning, is it hasn't failed me when it comes to AF. That's 3 months now. It just has not failed me, period. Also, what I can do is I can record on the SD card on the camera itself. And I can take a clean feed out into OBS. So I can record a really high quality feed in OBS while I'm recording here so that after the fact, I can use either. So if one ended up taking a dump, I still have one that will be okay, chances are. Once again, it comes to redundancy. I don't want to do this talk that I'm doing with you and then have to do it 2 or 3 or 5 times that you see happen a lot. And if you watch vloggers for any period of time, they will tell you the same thing. They'll be like, yeah, I had to do that 4 or 5 times. I don't know. It was focusing here. It was doing this. It lost its mind, right? My audio was bad, whatever it is. Okay. You don't have to worry about it with this. Also, the built-in mic in this, while it's not fantastic, it is okay. It is really good for just some scratch audio. But if you need to use it in a pinch, it doesn't sound bad. It really doesn't, which I found to be amazing considering it's so tiny. I don't know how they do it, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Also, one of the most important things to me is overheating. Now, we know that Canon had a lot of problems with overheating, and they fixed some of it, but they can't fix all of it. right? A lot of it has to do with construction and lack of ventilation. And there's a bunch of other things. And I can do and why the things are overheating. We're talking about the R5, for example, but they're going to fix it. In the next revision of that, it'll be fixed. They figured it out now. All right. Whereas here with this camera, the Sony ZV-1, it has never overheated. Never. When I say never, I mean never. It has run for over an hour in the past and just, it's cool all the time. So that is really good too, because if I don't need to record here on the camera itself doing a vlog, then I can record for almost indefinite and still use this. A lot of people are using this now as a webcam, an amazing webcam that looks beautiful, even 4K, 30p if you wanted to. Now, a couple of the negatives would be battery life. Now, if you're going to be running and gunning with this camera, even at 1080p, I get a maximum of about 30 minutes, okay? Some say that they can get 45 or even longer. I don't know what planet they're on. I just don't get it. Maybe it has to do with temperature, humidity, who knows? I'm here in South Florida. That's usually like standing on the sun. So it's normally quite hot outside and very humid. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But regardless, I get about 30 minutes, maybe 35 minutes of record time. That's not 4K, that's 1080. Maybe I got a bad battery. I don't know. So battery life isn't spectacular, but like what I'm doing right now when it comes to doing this vlog, the camera is plugged in. So I never have to worry about the battery, only when I take it off and go wander around. So the battery life is a little bit of an issue. Also, being so small, for me to take shots with it, photography, it's just a no-go. All right, I don't know what else to say. I swear it's this big. Okay, you can't see it right now. It's this big. It's tiny. And my hands are like, it'll fit literally this much in my hand. My hands are big and it's not conducive of taking photos. Can you? Yes. Like I said, it's 20 megapixels. It's not bad, but it's not good either. The photos that I've seen taken out of it, they're just not great. I've taken a few here and there and they're okay, let's say at best. I just don't care for them. If you want to take photos, you want to use a different camera. All right. This camera is almost solely built to be a vlogger's dream camera, and it is a video beast. It does a really good job at video. Now, the other thing that I have to say is being that it is a 24 to 70 millimeter equivalent. The problem with that is if you hold this camera back here to do your vlogging, let's say, if you don't have long arms, you're a little bit tight in the frame. Now, some have used these like stick-on lenses to get a nice little bit of a wide angle out of it. I don't care for them. I mean, they're okay, but nothing special. So when it comes to vlogging, if you don't mind, all right, having your hand out complete as far as it can go, and you have a little bit of a longer arm, I think it's okay. If not, I would say pick up like a GorillaPod or something like that and just hold it out so it's a little bit further out. That's all you need is maybe about 4 inches, and then you have a really good, to me, framed shot where you're not so much in it and you can still see a little bit of the background. I like that personally better. All in all, there's very few negatives when it comes to the Sony ZV-1 that I have found in the last 3 months. Now remember, my use case is going to be different than your use case. And that's why I never recommend products for people without knowing the people. I will never tell you, oh, this is the best camera since sliced bread. Because it's the best camera to who? Or in light of what? Or compared to which other camera? And it all has to do with use case. What are you going to use it for? So for my use, obviously, it has now become my main camera, and the Canon 80D is the secondary. I didn't know if that was going to be the case. When I originally got this, I was like, well, I was buying a secondary camera and not a main. I figured I was just going to continue to shoot with the Canon 80D. But honestly, I like this better. I like the functionality. I like that it snaps on my eyes. I like I said, I can show you something. It will snap to it in a split second and then drop it and it'll be right back to my eye. I can turn to the left. I can turn to the right, vice versa, according to you guys, but it'll snap onto the eye that is closest. So unlike a Panasonic that is normally meandering around and wandering around and doesn't know what the hell it's doing when it comes to autofocus, Sony has it in spades. It is locked on. I hate to diss on Panasonic, but they really need to get this stuff straight. All right, put some type of hybrid autofocus into your cameras. Please. There's a lot of Panasonic users that watch this channel and they will agree with me wholeheartedly. Put in some type of hybrid autofocus in your cameras. Has to be contrast and phase detect and everybody will be happy. Why you guys don't do it at Panasonic, I really don't know. Back to the ZV-1. In my personal opinion, I would buy this camera again after 90 days. And I might actually buy a second of them because I really do believe for this purpose, it is awesome. And I'm thinking about taking one of these because they're so lightweight and sticking it up here and doing some top-down stuff with my iPad Pro that I'm always using. So that might be something that you see in the near future. Anyways, guys, I hope you like this. I want to give you this 3-month review. I'm going to do another one at about 6 months or maybe a year because things change. All right, things are ever changing. But as of right now, I could not recommend this ZV-1 anymore. If you're a vlogger and you want to lock something down and never have to touch it, basically, this is definitely the camera for you. If you want to get that clean HDMI 422 unbelievable picture out of it, pump it straight into OBS through like a Elgato or something, you can do it and record at the same time. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with this, and it just is a powerful, tiny unit. So anyways, guys, if you like this content, as always, throw it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. As I always say, that is always beneficial, helpful. And if you are subscribed, click this little bell icon right over here. So when I come out with a new video, or when I go live, you will be notified of it immediately. Also, when we're done talking, in the comment area below this video, head over to community.jchristina.com. Once again, it's community.jchristina.com. It is our creative Discord server. You can find a lot of like-minded people over there talking photo, video, and tech all day long, 24/7. I'm there all the time. If you want to just hang out, come visit. Once again, community.jchristina.com. And finally, head over to my website, jchristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools that I've invented for you and me over the years, and hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. And for making it to the end of this video, I thank you kindly. Use promo code YT20 at checkout. You're going to get 20% off everything that's in your shopping cart. Once again, promo code YT20 at checkout, and you will get 20%. So guys, that is it. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe and stay healthy.